All right, hello everyone. If you don't already know me, my name is Kelly. I own Dogkind, and I specialize in confidence building for very fearful, feral, shut down, shy, timid dogs. And today we're talking about considerations for those really sensitive dogs when it's hot in the summer and you want to find ways to help them be more comfortable. It can be a little trickier with dogs who are sensitive to a lot of things. Okay, keeping your fearful dog cool when they're afraid of everything. Who is this for? This is for you if you have a fearful, timid, or anxious dog. You're worried about them being comfortable in the summer. You're worried about them being too warm, but you're not sure how to help them be more comfortable without scaring them. So why is this even a question? Why might it be challenging to make our fearful dogs more comfortable when it is warm? And there are lots of fears that my students' dogs have that can make this harder than it would be for a quote unquote normal dog. For instance, a lot of really sensitive dogs, depending on how they sort of grew up, may be uncomfortable indoors or afraid to come indoors. So that makes it harder to keep them cool if they won't come in into the house where you might have air conditioning. There is also fear of sounds and movement, which can be associated with various cooling systems in the house. Fear of water, so maybe they won't use like a kiddie pool or something to cool off. And fear of anything new can also be challenging. So I just wanted to talk really briefly through a couple of options that make the most sense for most people when they're trying to make sure that their fearful dogs are comfortable in the summer. The sort of least intrusive cooling option that I have found is a cooling mat. And in that photo on the right, that's Pancake on I think it's Green Pet or Green Pets cooling mat. I'll make sure to include a link in the blog. That is the favored one in our house, and I have tested out several. I will also include a link to a past video and blog on comparisons of these different cooling mats. But what are the good things about cooling mats? One is that you can use them indoors or outdoors. So if your dog is too afraid to come in the house, you can put it outside for them. And it doesn't come with any extra noises or movement like a fan, for example, might. Now, on the downside, or the negative side, it is something new to your dog when you first introduce it. And some dogs, even if they're not afraid of it, might not like how it feels, the texture of the surface, and they might not use it. So those are two downsides of cooling mats. Now, if you are going to try out a cooling mat for your fearful dog, you're going to want to be a little bit careful about how you introduce it. I would place it away from their favorite resting place in the beginning to just give them the chance to maybe check it out. It's tempting to want to put it in their bed or like where they would normally rest, but if they find it scary, they might then find themselves unable to settle down or get comfortable because the scary thing is in their bed and they don't know where to go now. So place it sort of away from where they would prefer to rest in the beginning. You can try covering it with something familiar, like a blanket that they like. If they're not afraid of it, you can then, once you have evaluated that, you can then try temporarily placing it in their favorite resting spot and see if they'll use it there. And if you're able to work with your dog in somewhat close proximity, you could offer them treats for looking at the cooling mat or approaching it. You could also put treats on the cooling mat and then go away, but I wouldn't do that unless you're pretty sure your dog isn't really afraid of it. You want to be pretty cautious with luring a dog towards something they might be afraid of. Okay, and cooling option number 2 that's, I think, the most used and convenient for most of us is whatever we're using in our homes to keep ourselves cool. So fan or air conditioning. The pros are that you already have it in place. You're already using it. And if you're lucky, your dog might already be okay with it because they've gotten used to it. However, I've had quite a few student dogs have trouble with air conditioners or fans. The noise of air conditioning kicking on and off, the movement of the fan, if it's like rotating, or if a fan, like a portable fan is blowing, or even sort of air vents are blowing and stuff in the room moves around in that breeze, that can scare the dog. And of course, your dog does have to be comfortable indoors in order to benefit from at least the air conditioner. If you're going to introduce a fan to your dog, like somewhere in their safe space, you may have the challenge that it's a new thing to them. It's a change in the environment, and that might be scary. So I would place it, again, far from the dog's favorite resting spots, and don't turn it on in the beginning. Just let them see it and get used to it, sort of still, quiet, the least scary version of fan. And then when you do decide to use it, if it's a fan that rotates, I would turn that function off, at least in the beginning. So that's a little bit less movement. And then remove stuff in the room that might be likely to blow around, like paper, really light fabrics, things like that. Now, fan or AC, probably more a problem with AC, is the noise, the changes in the noise in the house, the thing kicking on and off. Some people have found it to be helpful to leave the fan function running all the time on their cooling system, or to turn on the air conditioner at like full blast while the dog is outside to cool the house down so it doesn't kick on when the dog comes inside. And whether you're using like a whole house system like air conditioning or a smaller appliance like a fan, it's a good idea to make sure your dog has a way to get out of the breeze if they would like to. Okay, so I hope this gives you some food for thought. Choose the least invasive cooling option you can come up with, and usually for me that's the cooling mat. Although you probably have some kind of cooling systems in your home already that you're going to need to figure out how to make your dog comfortable with if they aren't already. When possible, minimize the novelty, sound associated with the cooling system, and any movement of the actual appliance or stuff in the room around your dog. And no matter what, make sure your dog can opt out easily and comfortably out of the sort of cooling zone, if you will. So if it's a cooling mat, it's easy for them to move off of it. But if it's a fan or something blowing air around them, you'd like them to be able to get out of that breeze if they want to. All right, folks, I hope this was helpful. If you don't already have this free worksheet, Make Your Fearful Dog Happier, go to dogkindtraining.com/happy, grab it there. If you have questions after you watch the recording, just pop them below where you are watching it, and we'll be back next week.